Welcome back to another episode of Net Talk. I'm Alex.
I'm Mitch.
And we are joined by Joey Yigit, coach with the beach volleyball side. Today's episode's all going to be about the beach volleyball world champs that are in
Adelaide. A
Adelaide.
rare detour for us indoor boys.
Yeah, hopefully enough people are super interested because everyone's been wondering about it, and it's probably the biggest event we've had on Australian sands in a little while. Maybe Joey will give a little insight into who he is, what his role is.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. Obviously, a big fan of Alex, Mitch, and the pod. But yeah, I'm a beach volleyball coach with the men's national program primarily, but work across as a whole team with our staff in Brisbane with the female program too. But yeah, just the context is World Champs is a once in a lifetime thing, and probably the biggest event bar the Olympics for our sport, just because the Olympics happens every 4 years and this every 2. But volleyball, beach volleyball specific, which is crazy. Like there'll be 49 of the best teams in the world for each gender here at the same time. And it's, indoor beach volleyball fans and volleyball enthusiasts will hopefully get around this because this is something that we may never, ever see again.
Yeah, it is crazy, the exposure, and I'm so sad I'm not here to be able to go. But there's so many Victorians on the, not that I'm that involved in the Victorian beach side anymore. Did go to a training the other day and it was awful for me. But the amount of guys there that are like, oh yeah, I'm driving over next week. I'll be there.
Even in the indoor, there was people, I went to Bendigo tournament a few weeks ago, the people that are like, yeah, we'll go down and get some tickets and go watch. And I was like, that is pretty impressive.
And it's so good to see the international eyes that come as well. We can shout out someone else other aspects where you can look is Sandcast. He's one of the commentators across finals, and he did a bit of a preview show, but he's actually coming to the country. It just gets so many international eyes on the Australian beaches. And
I reckon this is the first time we've ever had any event on Australian soil that's being broadcast on VBTV. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think that's going to be pretty cool as well. The fact that it's on one of the most watched volleyball platforms on the planet is pretty sick.
Yeah. And we'll
it'll rival Gather Round with all the Victorians driving across, hopefully.
Yeah.
Too much traffic between. But yeah, you're right. Yeah. Travis, who does the Sandcast stuff, he has a following that hopefully it will give Australia and our sport or a discipline of our sport the same platform as the parties that happen in Poland or Austria, and create that vibe around the event, kind of like an Australian Open with some musicians too at the Drive here, which is our tennis centre.
Yeah.
That will create something that will be lifelong and inspire a few generations.
Yeah, eyes on the Australian beaches, but as every beach volleyball event, it's not on the beach. It's a touch in. They just bring truckloads of sand and dump them on a tennis court. But it must make it so nice.
I actually thought they were going to try and do it on the beach, but I guess...
Well, there's the main court, correct, which is in stadium, and then there's outdoor courts, but I believe they're still dumped sand.
Yeah, they're still man-made courts, in the vicinity of our centre court or the main court. But no, it'd be Glenelg Beach is beautiful. But the ability to get a huge fan base in there. And control some elements to make sure it's a really just a great product.
Yeah.
It's pretty important for it to be there, but most of the top level around the world is nowhere near a beach. unless we're in Brazil or America or Mexico. But some of those products and on BBTV, a recent event in Veracruz, Mexico, was howling. It's probably equivalent to South Melbourne.
I was we don't want to try and bring this
up. I feel like I could still play at that level.
Surely we want some home court advantage for the Australians, maybe any of the Victorians, because it's whenever you see a Queenslander come down for the Vic Open and they haven't been hit with rain or sideways winds for a whole game and they're playing the Vic Open like that.
Especially that special South Melbourne wind. It just is brutal.
If we wanted to create some strong resilience, we would run the Vic Open about 20 times a year, I reckon.
We should run into how our week has been. You got a slay and a shame, Mitch?
I do, but I still, as tradition, I want you to go first.
Well, this episode's actually not coming out for a few days. When it comes out, I'm going to be in Europe, which will be Lots of fun. That'll be a big sleigh.
I love the biggest beach event for the next 2 years is coming to your home country, and you left. You didn't think about like when you were planning your flights?
I'd postpone my flights. I'm still waiting for my call up into the squad. But it's I got flight insurance. If I get the call up, I could cancel the flight. You know.
It is noted on your record, Alex, that you won a bronze medal in a under-19 state team a few years ago.
Is it
maybe your coach was a part of was probably a part of the world champs now, but
is it actually noted that I lost in that bronze medal match and got tournament bronze? You know,
really?
You know, for state teams,
when I gave you an out.
Yeah, it's been thrown out there before because when you lose to an international team,
it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. You still get the bronze. I didn't lose to an international team. I lost to an Adelaide player whose partner got injured, so the Adelaide player played with the WA player.
Oh.
We beat them in pools. I remember that.
Yeah, shout out to Henry and Bagshear, and I think is it Sam Bateman? Could be wrong, but shout out to those guys.
Yeah.
If they're watching the potty.
Keeping me humble.
Yeah. You did that to yourself, to be fair.
Yeah. And the shame can be just the amount of purchasing I've left for the final week. One of my orders of a pair of shoes got cancelled and I don't have enough time to order them again because they don't have an express post option.
I want everyone to know that this is a $90 pair of slides that Alex got on sale, and he's too chilled to just go and get a regular pair of slides.
Yeah, I will. I'll just bring a pair of rubbish ones, but it's that prep for a trip. All right.
My sleigh, this could be a sleigh or a shame depending on who you are, but I've been such a potato the last 5 days. Because AVL wrapped up and then we're still doing some club stuff, but I had a week off. I needed the week off. So then I caught up on a lot of things and I reckon I stayed inside for 5 days. To be fair, it was Melbourne weather. It was pissing down. It was storming. I was like, all right, cool. I'm happy to stay inside for this. I just realised I've got this shame for technically what's going to be last week's episode, but I'll put it in here. We won the Bendigo tournament a couple of weeks back. There was no pottery this year. The 1 year I did it and we won, there's no pottery.
What do you mean by pottery?
They win, you win I think lasagna dishes. And I was really excited for it. And then they were like, yeah, you guys won, but we don't have pottery this year. And I was like, well, I came all this way.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyways.
The old Dragon City.
Yeah.
I remember back in the day.
Yeah. So... And I really my body was sore. That's why I was a potato as well, because I really tried hard, and I'm still sore to this day.
Yeah, there was no tournament prep for you. It was 0 to 100,
straight out of retirement. Yeah.
Interesting to see when we get to it. The beach volleyball calendar is so interesting. Seeing how many tournaments are played across the year, the variation in how many tournaments some international pairings have actually played. Because I was looking at some of I think it was the women from China have only actually played 4 major tournaments over the last year, and pretty funny. But how's your week been, Joey? Or your slaying shame can be bigger scope if you want to take it there.
I think worth a slay through all this. Under 21 world champs, senior world champs is planning a wedding. I think we're doing a good job right now.
That's so true.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah. So managing the storm metaphorically, but really looking forward to it. Getting married in January, so things are kind of been chill for a long time, and they've really ramped up as the volleyball has.
Bit of delegating. Good timing. Yeah.
And the shames probably just work-life balance in the last couple of weeks.
So the same thing, really.
Not something to be proud of in 2025, I don't think.
Yeah.
Fair.
There is no balance. It's the just final tournament of the year, or the big one. It is funny that it's kicking up, because I'm sure it still carries on a bit longer afterwards for you when actually the Australian tour begins. But it's the international is done, but then the Australian beach scene, because we just have the different summer to everyone else. We get the little bit of delayed tournaments.
There is no off season.
Never heard of it.
I think you Slade. We can jump into some of the recent performances of the Australian beach volleyball program, because we had under 21s. There was an under 18 beach side internationally as well, with a few of the indoor names, namely Finley Bennett and James Kay ended up partnering together. And the women's side also did pretty well. Was that Duplessis, who is at this
Jazz Rayner and Jolie Duplessis.
Yeah, Duplessis. Yeah. Who are at this tournament as well, getting some hefty experiences. You were traveling with them, correct?
Yeah, I led the male contingent, and we also had a second team of both genders in the qualification tournament too.
Yeah.
It was the results I don't think were reflective of the progress, which is, it's a shame. I think I'm very proud of what they put on the court. For James and Finn, and they played round one of the AVSL season and then got straight into their prep. They were supposed to be in two different teams. Unfortunately, an injury to another Victorian fella, Ben Carroll, the week prior to the tournament, did a partial tear in his patella. He did it a couple of years ago when he was a bit younger, and then did it again, just training at South Melbourne before he got on the plane to Adelaide to prepare. So James and Finn came together quite late, but we're really looking forward to playing with each other anyway. So it was James's second ever international tournament. Split blocking. He'd never played on the right side prior to this year. And then Finn's first international tournament split blocking. So I'm really impressed with their processes and how they went about it. I don't think I've ever seen so many international coaches pay attention to a young Australian team. These guys are very, very scary, and they don't really have many bad habits on offense and defense in their mindset. So it lends to the futures that they both have in the sport. We got it 17th, which doesn't sound too flash, but we made it through pool play, and then the first elimination round is a round of 24. So round of 24, round of 16, quarters, semis, medals. We pushed the guys that won silver and probably could have pushed to a third set. It was like 20, 22, 19, 21-ish, that type of thing. And the female side, Jazz and Jolie. Jazz is overseas in college. She's in a beach college program. So they didn't have really any prep together, and it's Jolie's first tournament split blocking as well, or defending full time, depending on their role per game. And they just got toppled by quite a good Peruvian team in the round of 24 as well. Just kind of played the old fashioned way, poke it on two, dug it on one, and just worked them into the ground. Some made them really uncomfortable, and we pushed into a third and had chances to win, but we didn't. So. Big experience for sure. Like they go all out for a world champs. So there's a lot of pressure, and the boys signed autographs for hours pretty much. And then, under 18s recently in Doha, both teams finished 9th, which was really, really promising, especially with how they pushed some European teams to the end and beat them too. But really, really exciting kids for the future. Ava from South Australia, young female. Lydia, who's actually from America but has an Australian citizenship. Handy, our top team. Yes. Two Victorian girls in the second team, Ruby and Ella, who played really, really well but faced a tough team in the qualifier. And then on the male side, Ethan Grocott and Tom Turner, who I think will have big futures. And the second team was Cooper Ryan and his nickname's Tiny, but Chase Patterson from Queensland. Always think of him as Tiny first. So, excuse me there, Chase, if you're listening.
I mean, beach volleyball is so unforgiving sometimes because the results are always so, like, it hurts to be like, 17th. But it's like, that's a good result still. Like, it can show a lot of growth across a tournament, but then you just get the equal placement when tournaments just get to that tail end. And it's really hard. And then maybe we can, for the listeners, explain sort of the structure of beach volleyball calendar events, because it confuses me a little bit, but I don't pay enough attention, because these are national representations where we are given zonal qualification spots, correct? Versus beach volleyball world champs is the top tier of more. There is still zonal qualification for those, as you see, like a few of the lower ranked teams that qualify, but it's seeded and you get sort of those rankings. And the tiering of events, as we talk about some of the Australian teams that have had good results recently, there's futures, then challenges, then there is world tour, correct?
You done your homework, Alex. Well done.
Oh.
Feel more informed this week. I was looking at a few of the Australian
It's
results
complicated.
recently, and because it's just like that funny one of like, oh, where does this rank in the year? Like, Steffi Feegers and Jasmine Fleming got a bronze medal at a challenge event
Challenger event in the Philippines.
in the Philippines recently, and that was an amazing result. I was like, oh, they got a bronze. Like, that's good prep going into this major tournament. I was like, oh, what were the other top teams at this tournament? And there was a few really high-seeded teams there. And it's just still trying to connect all the dots of there's now 48 teams at each gender competing at Beach Volleyball World Champs. And it's like trying to see who's actually matched up against the top tier. Because obviously like Mark and Isaac have been top tier for the last year playing against the other talent. But then it's like wondering the other teams, where have they been challenged? How are they coming into this tournament prepped? How many tournaments a year are you expecting sort of the Australian teams to be playing?
Yeah, great question. Just for those that are completely new to it, I'll try and explain it in a simplified way, and I might miss some stuff. So I live in it every single day, so it's easy for me to just accept that there are some things to miss.
We miss everything every week.
There's a few join the club. There's a few types of competitions. So obviously, like the Australian National Tour, that would be considered a national tour. Lots of countries have them. We have Asian Volleyball Confederation who run a tour, and that's our zone.
Right.
It might be NORCECA for like North America or CEV for Europe. We have the ABC. And then there's the Beach Pro Tour. And then on top of that, there's multi-sport events, which is like the Olympics, Com Games, Oceania Championships, that type of thing. On the Pro Tour, we have Futures, which is kind of the entry level or perceived to be the entry level. Challenger, which is the middle tier, and Elites, which is like an exclusive invite only. Like you have to have a really elite a number of points. One of the changes between this year and last year is the point drop off is quite vicious. So you might see teams that are winning some elite games actually play some future events, because if you lose a qualifier, you get stung with very few points. And if you win a big event, there's a lot. And how that's calculated to get into an event is the 3 best results you have in your last 4. So if you have 1 or 2 stinkers, you can really drop a level or 2 really quickly. So we had like even the Swedes that won Olympic gold both played a futures event in Malmo in Sweden. That's why hosting futures events in Coolangatta and in the past other places have been so massive for Australia to give us a head start. I mean, Zach and Tom, when they got into an elite silver medal in down in Geelong or Torquay, that was massive for their Olympic qualification the following year. So we have those 3 levels. And then the Asian Tour, which is, you know, whether it's us, China, Iran, New Zealand, Philippines, Indonesia, Japan, and there's a few other nations I'm missing. We get 2 entries into each of those tournaments. Everyone does. And their points are kind of equivalent to a futures event. But the advantage of your zonal tours is that they don't have to count in 3 of your best 4.
Oh, okay.
So if you achieve them and you have a bad result, they can almost act as a backup. But so it is really important for us that we keep sending great teams to our Asian zones and dominating them, which isn't easy because lots of these countries are making massive progress. And there are huge threats for us, particularly China on the women's side, China and Iran and all these other good countries on the men's side that are pushing and have good teams. And then our multi-sports and our junior or like age group categorized events. So hopefully that explains a bit.
Yeah, it's beach volleyball is almost the difficulty of tracking indoor is there's so many different leagues.
Yeah.
Beach, you're not even really tracking leagues, you're tracking like individual teams
Like
and where they are
tournaments.
in the world and individual tournaments and it really leads to some athletes skyrocketing through the rankings or like zooming up there. I remember like my experience watching was like when Mark and Isaac first sort of made that leap, it felt like they went from national tour
Like zero to
to
hero.
an elite.
Yeah.
Like they had a really good result. I think they qualified and then they had a really good result. And then they were in Elite 16 from like then on and they didn't let go of it again. Or there's the really young American who qualified for the Olympics super quick.
Lost Partain,
Yeah.
Andy Bennett.
Yeah, and it's like you just see them skyrocket or you probably know all the names because then there was a women's partnership that I saw that went straight to Elite 16 podium, but they didn't do a challenge event. They went from futures straight to the Elite 16 podium, and it's like,
how do you manage that? Yeah.
yeah, it just, and then
It's to make things all more complicated. Each person, the entry points are individual.
true.
Yeah.
So and it might explain or add some explanation to why there's so many swaps in pairs. Because if this player plays wrong, then maybe they have access to this. And for federations like us that have a program and a bit more, let's say, influence on the strategy of teams and the greater picture, it becomes quite important. And stresses, when their kids are a bit younger, not to stick with the same person for 3 or 4 summers in a row, to go getting experiences inside, outside, playing with different teammates, and then finding out who you are.
Yeah.
Because in those moments, like the physical gap between like a futures gold medal and an elite gold medal is really not as significant as it seems. The physical, like our guys are some of the most, and female athletes, some of the best physicality athletes in the world. And the gap between experience, decision-making, emotional regulation, just like strategic application that's the scary part, that we're consistently fighting uphill. And once someone does that, like you mentioned, Mark and Isaac, and you don't let go of it, you consistently make good decisions, and you might have a bad game, but you're consistently getting, top 10s, top 5s. So it's interesting in beach volleyball, you might play 20 tournaments in a year. You might get 7 results you consider good, and that's an excellent season at times because of the way the world works. And there's, at futures level, sometimes there's 3 events at the same time in different places in the world. Rarely happens with the levels above that, but there is strategy in which tournaments you play, why you play them. For us in Australia, it's distance away from home.
Yeah.
Can we go away and then come back and have a good training block and go again? How do we access, if that tournament's really accessible for us, but that one's on the other side of the world, why are we doing it? Are we backing ourselves to go up a level and then go back to the qualifier? And if we lose, we're out and the points are vicious. It is a sport of crazy people. It's a sport of losers because you lose more than you win lots of the time. Or you might have a tournament where you win 3 games and you lose 4, or, 1 and 2, and you're like, we played well. Next tournament.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy, the layout of the year, and it is very hard to keep track of unless you're fully immersed in it.
Yeah.
So how many tournaments would you say on average, like an elite, well, like an Isaac and Mark sort of, like how often would they be playing? Like, are we talking like once a month, or in heavier periods, it's like every couple of weeks? Like, what are we looking at?
Well, it depends. Like if there's a team that, it's their time to peak, they need to make the Olympics. We need to get a result at the Olympics, and we've never won a medal in male beach volleyball at the Olympic Games. That's our ambition.
Yeah.
But using that as an example, everything would be lent to a pinnacle event like World Champs this year in qualifying.
Yeah.
Or the Olympic Games and qualifying first. And lots of the qualification systems are a bit strange. Like it's 3 of our last 4 to get entry into a tournament, but for the Olympics across 18 months, it's your best 12 results. Regardless of entry points at the time.
Yeah.
The World Champs, it was your best, I think, 6 or 8, one of those 2, at the Pro Tour level only, or through your zonal stuff, which Alex kind of hinted at before.
Yeah.
So for these guys, it's like, well, how many times can we access the top level and contribute towards 1, qualification, which is where we're at. We need to qualify for things, or have that as a main consideration, and 2, performance at those things. Because you can't perform if you don't get there.
Yeah.
So to answer your question with more questions is like, how are we going to be good enough first to qualify, and how are we going to be good enough to perform? For Mark and I, they're ballers. They want to get everything, which is a good problem.
Yeah.
Good problem that trying to be a bit too picky and choosy. But if I was to make a comment about someone before that stage, it's as many tournaments as we can play where they're learning.
Yeah.
And getting better and applying things, because we're getting guys like James and Finn that you mentioned, and really they have no right to win an under-21 World Championships gold medal. They've only been playing beach volleyball seriously for X amount of time. So we have, and if we do, that's excellent. That's all of our ambitions. But our goal is an Olympic senior medal. So how do we invest in all our people at the right times, with where they're at mentally, physically, emotionally, finding the right person to share the court with them, the right case manager and coach, and then going on that journey for, 2, 3, even 4 Olympic cycles, because that's what we can do in beach volleyball.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. I was about to ask about how you would see the cycles going, because, I mean, I feel like indoor internationally, it's really set that this year countries are taking rubbish teams everywhere because the next Olympics is in 4 years. The US national team is a bunch of college students because you can just take time off. Everyone will come back in 4 years, see if their body's right and compete. But this is a major event that's every 2 years. This Olympic cycle, beach volleyball players, I mean, Talika Clancy is one of the best women from Australia, and she's done 3, 3 Olympic games, medaled.
One of the greatest players of all time.
Yeah. Medaled in Tokyo. And it's just like you can see that cycle going more. And it's just wondering about how, maybe I should simplify the question. What is the time frame? Like, how do you see partnerships shift across those time frames? Because there's a few fresher pairs and then there's a few pairs that have been together for a while.
Yeah. Good question. I think the first comparison between indoor and beach disciplines is, like, for indoor, you have your pro season, and that's always independent to your national team's qualification. Whereas for us, in beach volleyball, this is their professional career.
Yeah.
So if you're qualifying for the Olympics and you're in the challenger level and the elite level getting great results, you're also earning prize money. So for the full cycle, it's an income, it's your professional career. Whereas I guess for indoor planning, one, you have 12 to 16 people in your squad. You're trying to get them to peak at the right time, trying to manage injuries whilst they're getting personal income for a different club. For us, it's an investment in the person.
Yeah.
And, say Talika was, touch wood, injured for a while or whatever, we are responsible for rehabbing and getting her back onto the court and doing what she does best whilst qualifying for an event, which then she can go perform at. So I guess in terms of cycles and planning, lots of our data from the last, 5 Olympics shows that you ideally need to be playing the Pro Tour between 7 and 9 seasons, full seasons, to peak at an Olympics. And, there's exceptions with Norway on the men's side and Sweden recently. They've done that faster, but they had played together on the Pro Tour for 7 seasons already.
Yeah, okay.
So for the younger groups, 2 to 3 Olympic cycles is where we're kind of at. The first 4 years, it's get experience, get a lot of training load, get the physical stuff right, go accumulate. But part of our sport is to get more games, you got to win them. You keep losing, you get barbecued in tournaments. You don't get the same amount of experience if you played 5 games per tournament compared to 2.
Yeah.
There's a certain time to pick when to peak and play the high tournaments too, because you're not guaranteeing the same level or accumulation of experiences. But really, accumulate the first cycle, focus on solely performance in the second, get that partner in the third one. It's go time. We've got to be winning, got to be performing, got to qualify, and then let's do something, at least on the men's side, that's unprecedented. Let's go win a medal.
Yeah.
So hopefully that answers the question.
Yeah. I mean, you see the shift of players and their partners, because Talika started with Lou Borden at her first Olympics, and then Maria Fay, who's had a child and is now, actually she said she did an interview with Kerry Pottharst and said she's not ruled out of returning to the sport. See how the time frame goes for that. But then she's partnered up with Jana Milutinovic, who is young, would be 25.
We have such an exciting group of athletes, because I think 2/3 or 12 athletes are sub 24 years old that are playing the world champs. It's outrageous. Incredible. You mentioned Jazz and Steffi winning a medal in Navali. They are young, and we have the majority of our cohort, even Mark and Isaac aren't, they're 27. So if we can keep the core group of athletes we have going for another cycle at least, oh my God, we are making significant progress.
You mentioned data before, so I just wanted to touch on some beach volleyball data in games. What are some because on the indoor side we talk about certain things like we got to score 12 points and we're almost guaranteed this set. Just on hitting alone, all the other stats. What are some key metrics for beach that you could maybe give us without sharing too much? Because I'm very curious. So.
Certainly some clear benchmarks. An Olympic level team will side out at 74% or above.
Yeah.
If we're talking about winning 16 positive points, so they're off our own hands.
Yeah.
12 of them or so need to come off side out. 4 of them also need to come off transition, like serving, blocking, dig and kill. So there are some basic metrics, but that could be 2 blocks a set, 1 ace per set, and 3 transition kills.
Yeah.
There's per team, like because of the makeup of teams, like Mark and Isaac will hit a lot on 2 and do this. It depends how you win those points. That's a bit more individual per team structure.
Yeah.
But yeah, there are some basic ones, like 74, 75% is an elite benchmark on side out.
Yeah.
And then it's slightly different. Men win a bit more percentage-wise on first phase. Females a bit more on second or third phase. But that's the general consensus of it all. Like, let's side out to a really high rate and let's serve pretty tough to create some of these transition point opportunities.
Yeah, okay. Interesting.
I feel like you get to see beach. There is a lot more of a mind game and like an intricacy of who you're playing and what you might need to do. I remember like through programs myself, you designed a team for me where it was, Alex, you suck at setting, so you're running 2 balls. Like you're doing this. You're like,
I'm not sure that was the philosophy, but it worked out.
No, it was like you play to your strengths. You're coming up against this team. Like you've got to fire your weapons maybe, and then you can refine and see how it goes and try and outlast them. But it's like seeing that mental interplay of your opponents. In beach, it seems so difficult at the international level that, like, from indoor, you can get benched, you can get subbed, you're with someone else. You're just there for the tournament. If you open with a bad game, how do you recalibrate sort of before your next game, or do you just tell players and players know, oh, we're coming up against a different partnership, so it's completely fresh?
Lots of the Pro Tour at the moment is modified pool play.
Right.
So if you qualify first, or you're already in the main draw based on your entry points, 1 versus 4 in a pool, 2 versus 3. And the winners play the winners to top their pool and get a bye or go through second. And then loser versus loser is you lose, you're out. And then from there it's single elimination. So I guess the question is the answer is if you're losing a game, it's pretty much automatically you're playing single elimination from that point. You lose and you're out. So you have no choice but to bounce back, which is unique. I mean, at World Champs here, it's full pool play, which doesn't really happen that often. Only some elites and then the Olympics and World Champs. So it's like, how does game 1 impact game 3?
Yeah.
Sort of a bit closer to indoor tournaments. It's like, well, every point really matters now because you can finish 1 to 3rd based on points percentage or 2nd to 4th and be kicked out because you finished 4th on points or set percentage, which generally isn't a factor for lots of the beach pro tour. So the answer is, Alex, it doesn't matter usually. You just have to respond.
Yeah. I mean, some of these pools are, Travis on Sandcast calls them pools of death because some of the seedings are so crazy. If like a team that's seeded 3rd, but it's like, oh, why are they seeded 3rd? How did they get this in a pool? But you just have top teams coming in and top 2 from each pool go through with is it 4 lucky 3rds? Is it like
the top? Yeah, basically the top 3 will go through because of the format.
Oh, okay.
There'll be a few unlucky 3rds.
yeah, which is so tough. But in some of these really tight pools, actually we saw it at VNL where there was actually sort of the qualification that 4 places that could qualify for finals in VNL was pretty close, and it kind of depended on wins being traded back and forth and set percentage. If you're in a pool where you all trade wins, your set percentage and then your point percentage will actually really matter. Yeah. And it's so scary to be sitting there waiting for another result.
The pools of death are, I think, way scarier for the single elimination rounds because, Sweden didn't top their pool at the Olympics and they won. And the last World Champs, Czech Republic didn't, at least on the men's side, Czech Republic didn't top their pool and then won the whole competition. So it happens a lot in beach volleyball at these events because in terms of the seedings per pool, there's we can get into the qualification and stuff, but it gets a bit jumbled and it happens at every World Champs, even age group stuff, which explains some results. There's we mentioned under 21s, there's guys that have won elite medals that finished 9th.
Yeah, right.
So it's some of these things in the qualification period, it can't be wrong because there's only a pinnacle event per year or every second year. But the sport is beat the team in front of you.
Yeah.
Don't worry about the factors before and after, but you have to beat the team in front of you. And that is I guess for the casual fan coming to watch World Champs or getting a bit more involved in beach volleyball and VBTV, That is the most entertaining part. That's why I mentioned to you guys I love watching AVSL. Is just like, no matter the circumstance, beat them with your team.
Yeah.
And that is the skill that defeats all skills. Doesn't matter how good you are at hitting, blocking, serving. You just have to beat that team with your mate.
And I do like that element of beach and AVSL because like we've played state league for how long now, and other versions of AVL where it's like, we've lost that game, but like we're fine. Like it's just like it does not like the consequences aren't as there, the pressure's not as high. It doesn't actually lose its like fun factor, but it's like the pressure being so much more paramount in these makes it more entertaining, I think. And that same with AVSL, like there's much more on the line with each point than just if you play everyone 3 times in a season, like some state leagues, it's like you're playing the same team 3 times. You could go 2-1 and that one, it's just like, oh, like whatever, you know, makes it more entertaining.
I think
Yeah.
we can throw up. I'll put on screen the actual like partnerships that are representing Australia. We'll start with like the men's listed based on like their rankings because it's so many teams. It's 6 partnerships, and as you said, they're like both the men's and women's is quite a young side. It is crazy, but then it's also seeing other countries. Like the partnerships are young. There's a lot of young talent, and then there's a lot of. I feel like some beach volleyballers can go not till they're old because there's no one actually that old or floating around anymore. But there's a few that are crossing their mid-30s, you know,
Getting aged.
But it's just they've refined their game, and it's like the upsets that they can still cause, or the experience that they can pass on to the 23-year-old Americans partnered with the 30-year-old, I believe, and like. That's not old. Sorry, take that back. But
So you've just offended half of our viewership.
Like recently, Pablo Herrera from Spain retired, and he was like mid-40s, and he's been to like 5 or 6 Olympics, and it's just crazy. Like
That is crazy. No.
He's not the only one. Like there's a guy from Latvia, Martin Plavins. He's playing with a guy that won under 21 world champs, and Martin was on the bench with him as his coach. So, and you know they're the European champions this year. So you got going. I don't know off the top of my head how old Plavins is, but he's playing with a guy almost 20 years younger than him.
Yeah,
it's the diversity in the sport, or the discipline of beach volleyball is wild and something that makes it really unique.
And like the adaptability you have to be able to change for a new partnership. And like with the phase of the game, as potentially doubles get allowed in beach volleyball and they start introducing rubbish from indoor to the sand.
Rubbish,
whenever that comes through. Like it's interesting that you have to be changing or I don't know, I feel like you probably know and have like had to coach through the phases and the development of the game. Has it been pretty dynamic would you say it's been more dynamic over the last 10 years, sort of like the coaching?
Yeah, well, the game certainly changed. It's like it's easy to forget the first Olympic beach volleyball tournament is in 96. So the sport isn't even 30 years old yet at the Olympic level. So, of course, it's going to change. You know, the Swedish jump setters are the ones that are famous. That started in Adelaide here with Josh Slack and Andrew Schott. They were the first guys to jump set on the beach. So, you know, one of the big benchmarks for us is innovating and innovating in a way that helps us win and perform. But yeah, it certainly has. But there's a few commonalities. Like if you want to be really good at jump setting and hitting on 2, you've got to be able to set with high hands. Therefore, if you've got high hands, they need to be faster, which probably lends to not caring as much about doubles. But I'm a big believer. If you want nice hands where you can feel the ball, you've got to set a lot. You'll teach yourself how to hold a ball. It's circular, it's round, and then you start letting it go the same way. So I don't think there is a significant setting difference between indoor and beach if you do it fast and high. But Alex is probably laughing because I've probably said this for 15 years. I just don't think there's a difference, and I know like maybe optically some people have different technique, but if you really get around the Australian beach volleyball players, we set high, we set fast, and we create an offense where we can win lots of positive points and side out above 75%, hopefully.
Of these men's partnerships, I'll run through the list because we've got Nicolaides and Carraher, Burnett and Hodges, old indoor player for all those fans. Tom Hodges gets a little extra love every time we mention him.
And ex-Renegade player as well.
Yeah. Luke Ryan and Zach Schubert, Hood and Merritt, Potts and Pearce, and Howard and Walker. Which of them is innovating the most, you reckon?
Oh, they all are. They all are, and in different ways. It's important to note probably Howard Walker, they're a reserve team. So they'll be hoping some teams don't check in when they're supposed to with their passports. And they'll be there waiting with bated breath to try and get in the tournament.
Try and sneak in.
But the other 5, they're like really, really high physical, dynamic teams. Mark's probably the exception as probably doesn't fit the profile as the rest of standing near 2 meters tall, but he's got a wicked fast arm and he knows how to play the game and he's a competitor. So I don't know if you wanted to really run through them, I can, but they're all really exciting. And to be fair, I don't think there's a team on that list that can't actually beat every single team in their pool on their day. It's just about beating the 2 people in front of them.
Yeah, the pools are scary to look at when you see that they go all the way to L, L, and it's like seeing where you're seated and like just with how you compare against other countries. A lot of these Australian pairs are the 4th seed other than Mark and Isaac, but it is that upset that can happen on the day on one match that you just need to play well and respond well. And it's funny seeing Travis from Sandcast did a blog where he ran through each pool and sort of on the teams, and it's funny when he says, I've watched these Australian guys at this tournament and they could beat anyone. Like they could flip it.
That's where we're going.
The result.
You know, the core group is quite young in life. So as they gain experience together, we're going to have a world championships level training atmosphere every day. So that's the goal.
Yeah.
And to knock off some of these teams and achieve something we're yet to do. That's the big picture.
Is that what countries and nations are doing across the world? Is that why Sweden and Norway are just the best always and they just always have someone pop up and take the reins?
Not quite, but for sure, like Norway started their project with, there was Mol Berntsen originally, Anders, not Hendrik. And then, you know, Christian Sorum took the reins and that was their project team. And then now there's others on the train. They got achievement and funding and doing all these great things. And Sweden, coached by Razzie, who was in Australia not too long ago, doing some stuff down at Manly Beach. They started with Alman Helvig and then they've taken control. And there's 2 young fellas, I remember seeing them at under-21s a couple of years ago and said, oh my God. So, you know, lots of these countries or small countries really have to commit to a project and find the 2 right people and then go for it. And other people will get on board. But, you know, the countries with long-standing history in the sport, like America and Brazil and Poland and Italy and France and all these places, they've got really, really strong depth. And then, you know, the phoenix rises from the ashes and you get 1 or 2 generational athletes that can take it to the rest of the world.
Yeah, okay.
On the women's side, we've also got a lot of talent there. There's only is one of these teams a reserve as well, or So
read them out, I'll tell you.
All right, we've got Fleming and Fegis, Phillips and Mears, Clancy Milutinovic, Alchin Johnson, Burnell and Duplessis.
So yeah, Burnell and Duplessis are also a reserve team.
Yeah. But they're the team that Duplessis was at that under-21 tournament.
And Leilani was there too. She was a part of the qualification.
Perfect. So they're getting lots of experience on that side, and I think I'd be pretty glad just be sitting at a reserve at this tournament too, where you just you get to watch. Because surely they're still getting, these reserves, are they getting international scrimmages lined up and heaps of training across this period? Surely it's the highest quality you can
easier
get.
for the guys in the male side because this is our training centre, we're based in Adelaide. The female teams, and you know, they've had some teams join us up at the training centre in Brisbane a few times. So I'm not sure if they're travelling down. I'm not sure they will be, but it can happen pretty fast because it's just a domestic flight. So they would be in the training centre, but I think the greatest value we have is our people. And then, you know, Steph and Jazz Fleming for Hez, just winning an international medal Taliqua winning many. And Yana and Georgia and Lizzie having multiple futures medals, and Tara and Kayla as well. So it's a really, really cool group that we have going.
Well, I mean, across the year, how are they rolling or preparing for this tournament? Is it you're just trying to get ready for this one? Now, once they all sort of knew that they're qualifying, is the sort of 2-month wind up for this tournament?
Yeah, great question. The qualification period started, I think, in March or slightly after, in April, and all the way through to October, or the last Challenger event in Mexico was the end of the qualification period. So it's quite expansive, and every event counts. So we had a strategy to get a few teams or target the top 25 in the world as qualification, and then we can, if you're top 4 in Asia based on a combination of Asian points and Pro Tour points, you can get 2 people or 2 teams through that avenue as well. And then, of course, we've got a wild card that we were granted. Thank you to the people involved in that process as well. So, yeah, I guess at the start of the year or the end of last, it was about planning about who was going to play with who. And with a pinnacle event like this, it's important to us, of course, future investment in athletes, our sponsors, and while on that, like Scape and our National Institute network, SASI here in QAS in Queensland, the AIS, it's thank you to them for the amount of immeasurable support they've given us, and we've worked together to achieve. But yeah, we kind of dedicated teams and coaches and to specific campaigns, we call them.
Yeah.
So one through the zonal campaign and one through the top 25 Pro Tour campaign, and then amongst that is the development of our other athletes and those athletes for their, future proofing them for big events.
I got 2 questions here. Can you briefly touch on wildcards for those who don't know them? Because I wasn't really sure what they were until I think played a beach tour and I just saw you could apply through a wildcard. And I was like, oh, what's that? Maybe I'll give that a go. And then I was like, I don't think that's how it works.
The easiest way to understand wildcards in beach volleyball is to compare them to tennis.
I don't even know how they work in tennis. So
yeah. So it's all right. It's some of the big opens around the world. There's like 1 or 2 wildcards that are granted. Usually countries will give them to one team of their own, depending on the level. But at the futures level, you can give a wild card. Usually the host country gives it to one of their teams for their development. At the challenger level and elite level, the same thing. So I guess it's kind of a bit of a kickback for hosting an event. And giving your country and fans a bit of exposure in that way. For the world champs, like we weren't the only countries to get a wild card on the men's side. It was also England and Norway. I can't off the top of my head on the women's side. I'm not sure who got them, but besides us. But yeah, there's a few factors like performance. Obviously, Zach, who received our wild card with Luke. Luke's very promising and young. I think he's going to be one of the best players in the world eventually. And Zach, obviously, with all the things he's achieved in the sport at the Olympics and all throughout these other parts of his career, I think we're a no-brainer for getting fans engaged and potentially a great performance or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. So that's the general basis on wildcards. You can apply for them for every tournament. And the FIVB has discretion on who receives them. But generally, if you're hosting an event, it's favourable.
Okay, cool.
I guess that's similar to like the indoor tournaments. I think it's more just written in. If you're the host of the event, you get qualification, or you get recently in VNL, like you can't get relegated, and or China on the men's side, like you automatically got a finals position. It was just like locked in for finals because you're hosting finals.
But came like 15th.
In beach volleyball, it definitely ties into the level of event. If you're going to host an event that you host, like China have hosted a lot of challenger events this year, which has suited their demographic of athletes. Because then they might get a wild card or 2. And, lots of the European countries will host the top level. Whereas in Australia, we've hosted, there's other factors too, price point and exposure and all those things and time of year and access. But generally, one strategic thing for a national sporting organisation, we think about the level that's most appropriate to them.
And then the other question I was just looking at the schedule before. How many, you're playing like a game a day roughly. Maybe you got a day break here and there. Like, what's the prep like day to day? Like, if you got a game day, whether you're playing in the morning arvo or you get a rest day, are they still getting touches? Are they doing some activation work? Like, what's that sort of schedule look like roughly? Probably a pretty loaded
I
question.
giggle a bit because the only times this is super relevant to us are world champs and an Olympics.
Yeah.
Or a Com Games.
Yeah.
Where there's a game every second day or every day.
Yeah.
But for sure, like our athletes will probably be accustomed to doing 2 or 3 in a day. So that's a factor in our planning and our training preparation. You know, do you do bigger sessions because you do 1 a day, or do you do smaller ones because that's how fast the game goes?
Yeah.
And all these questions that are based on the team and the coach and the tournament format. But generally on a game day, it'd be, a meeting a couple of hours before the game for general strategy, if you haven't done it already. Maybe a general pass set session. Like I think at indoor, you might call it like serve and receive instead.
Yeah.
But if that's appropriate on the day, or a longer warm up before the game. But certainly, like in every other tournament play, we probably expect about 2 games a day. So, I guess it's how to manage the time. Do you keep these athletes busy if that suits them? Do they need cognitive space and management of other things? Generally a pass set and a team meeting for sure. And then getting into game prep closer to.
It's not like the Vic Beach 6 games in a day kind of setup.
It's a slog. But you build resilience. And you learn all the hacks to not cramp.
I haven't.
You forget the cramp, you forget the hacks, and then 3/4 of the way through the day, you're like, if I scull some magnesium water right now, will I be saved? I'm cramping. I'm halfway through.
For all the Victorians listening, the best advice I ever got was keep a tube of Vegemite in your bag. And just have a little bit after every game. That was Owen Boland, my partner Davey and Schumann.
I'm going to give that a go.
It's best advice I ever received if you're planning on playing finals. Or
I don't reckon.
See, I think my issue was last year I wasn't planning on playing finals for one of the days. Didn't think it would happen, and then was in a final, was cramping, and someone's come up, run over, starts shoving a pickle down my throat, and I go, I don't think this is working because I'm already on the ground. I think it's a bit late.
It's too late. Yeah.
For all of if there's any nutritionists listening, get in touch with Alex, please.
Someone, please. Hey, we had a personal trainer on. Don't worry, didn't go anywhere.
No, didn't matter.
You can get in touch with me.
You won't listen.
Yeah, I'll try.
That's the issue.
All right, don't waste time.
Yeah, unless you get paid by the hour, you can you can waste some time.
Someone offer this man a salary and he'll actually listen. It seems like it's going to be a really good event to watch. I'm definitely going to be. I'll be a potato again. I'll just be putting it on the TV all hours of the day with VBTV. Be handy.
Oh, I'm going to be in such the wrong time zone. It's so horrible.
It's going to be a bit of roles reverse.
Yeah. I was actually so excited being in Europe, getting to watch European indoor volleyball, being in the right time zone, actually getting to go to a few games. And then I'm like, well, I will not be able to watch any of the beach if the time zones are
I think you might be all right, Alex, because it's, 7 or 8 hours behind. But because there's American and Brazilian teams obviously here and European teams, the games will go all day.
Yeah.
You get a few morning games, I think, before you go to sleep.
Yeah.
And vice versa.
So
you'll get a few. Don't worry about that.
Yeah. I'll be tuned in and
you'll be on your phone. Laura will be like, "Can you stop?
Yeah,
this is holiday time."
And then maybe the last thing before we finish is your role as a coach across this tournament. We should definitely touch on it. We've got a few coaches out there that like to listen, but beach volleyball is different to indoor. Actually, it's similar to Super League.
You can't yell on the sidelines.
Well, Super League has no timeouts, but beach, there is no coach on the bench, probably.
Maybe. It's traditionally no. Like you warm up your team and you go sit in the stands, kind of like tennis. You say, see you after the game.
Yeah.
Go well, please. Please listen to me and do your best. But recently in this trial period, there's been coaches on the bench. Still unique rules, like you sit behind the team bench, can't talk during points or between them, or when you swap ends, you can only talk in timeouts and set breaks. And that's been unique. Like we've got really, really experienced coaches that have never done this before.
Yeah.
And it changes the dynamic. Do you have the coach that leads all of your preparation sitting on your bench? Do you have a different person with a clear view that might see the game? You're not allowed a smartwatch or your phone or anything to do that. You can have a pen and paper. What are you writing down? You only have, if there's a technical timeout and 2 timeouts in a set, you might only get about 60 seconds with the team. How are you using those 60 seconds? Also acknowledging that the athletes might not be fully accustomed or used to it. for us, with lots of teams, we also have lots of staff, which we're very lucky and fortunate to have. But if we're in Poland, for example, and we have one staff member with multiple teams and they're on the same time or back to back, how does that impact us? But on the flip side, like beach volleyball is pretty thankless for a coach potentially. Like your team wins, they're on the podium, you're sitting there, you don't get a medal, you don't get, you can take your own selfies with your team and all that sort of stuff. But now all of a sudden coaches are on the podium. Coaching personalities in timeouts, the camera doesn't go to some average to below average dancers on the court or a speaker yelling things out of the crowd. It can go to the team bench. Yeah. Just like in basketball where you can, or indoor volleyball where you can see the coach and how they interact with the team. So it's adding personality and hopefully it inspires a lot more coaches. But it certainly adds a lot to the responsibilities in terms of coding your team's games and game planning. And lots of the time in our sport, the team that you're going to play next plays at the same time. So then in usual tournaments, you might play them later that day and all that sort of thing. So the coaching on the bench, we don't know if we're doing it yet. So hopefully by the time this potty airs, we'll know.
Yeah. I mean, it's so interesting because
that trial period ended with the qualification period, and we've done surveys and given our thoughts, but we haven't got an official word whether it's going to happen or not.
Right.
It is interesting because beach, I feel like so much of beach's development and focus as an athlete across the phases is like you have to be self-sufficient. You have to learn and respond to the game because you didn't have a coach next to you or whatever. I think I remember in my juniors, they re-added a coach on the bench and it was still like, well, you can still try and figure it out yourselves and have the resilience. If you want to be a player that goes into the sport long term, you have to basically, I mean, good players make good coaches if they're, well, sometimes because if you have a good vision of the game and you have a good understanding, you're a better player for it. So it was almost sort of a skill that players needed to develop. So it would be interesting how players that are experienced, have been on world tour for 10 years, go now having someone else there talking to them. Like they already have a little voice in the back of their head. Do they need another voice there as well?
Do they just turn to the coach and be like, shut up, I don't need you?
Well, it's an interesting space because, it might remove some barriers for players to get on the court when there's some additional support potentially. It might change your relationship, like a certain type of coach coaches a certain level because they're maybe more indirect in how they coach. I'm more curious to, how it changes the sport over time if it stays. At the national tour level, is there a coach on the bench? Is this inequitable that some people have coaches and some people don't? Yeah. We already do it at the junior level.
Yeah.
But that's also like, they're not going to have one in the future. So it's okay if the coach isn't, super experienced because you only have a certain impact for a certain number of months.
Yeah.
But it's interesting, like some national tours around the world, like in Brazil and America, they have coaches already.
Yeah.
So is this going to advance their performance? For us, generally we're at a deficit to the Europeans. Does having expertise on the bench help reduce the gap in performance? Does it phase out some of these really intelligent players that can really manipulate games over time? It's the impact of it is unseen. I'm not sure if I love it or I hate it.
Yeah.
All I know I want to do is support the team that I'm working with at the time and interacting with to bring their best.
Yeah.
But overall, if it creates a better product, volleyball is a winner. So, that I was saying, but it is really, really interesting. And it means there's also a wider expertise of coaches. Maybe you need to consider that in your coach team where you've got someone that's their magic power or superpower is people. Another one is the data. Maybe it'll force coaches to upskill in one or the other. But it's a crazy time for our sport. It's evolving. It's evolving quick.
Yeah. Liam Sketcher gave that point in his coaching journey that he's like, you just have to learn to work with people because when you're at an indoor club overseas, you've got a full squad, whatever. Everyone on that team responds differently. But at least, I don't know, an indoor team, you still have one direction that you are shaping a team to go in. Beach volleyball, there's 6 different men's pairs and 5 different women's pairs that all have different identities. And there's 2 players.
We're working across both.
Yeah, and there's 2 players in each team that also have their own identity.
The only kind of additional comment is the only rules that are probably different is like can't talk between points. So there's no cheering or instruction. So I don't know. For me, it's much more natural in the crowd to be happy when we're doing something great or be supportive when, we almost got the desired outcome. Whereas on the bench, you kind of feel like, I can't do much. What do the athletes need? And there's all these questions. It's a bit unnatural for everyone at the moment, but yeah, like if I'm quite naturally an extroverted person, maybe that's not the best role for me, or it is, but I just need to, put that in a different way to help support the people.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's creating a whole new dynamic to the sport.
What this is not off topic, but not exactly on topic. Why did beach evolve to be more or less coachless compared to indoor? Because you mentioned the fact that if they are going to have a coach, you can be behind the bench, pen and paper only. I'm sitting on the bench at AVL level with an iPad with full data volumetrics that gives full breakdown. Like, what is it about the philosophy, I guess, of beach volleyball not allowing that versus indoor? It's like, nah, go for your life. Is it a genuine reason or like?
Yeah, great question. Like, I don't have the answer. Like, I'm not working for FIVB, but it's also need to be cautious of how quickly you evolve.
Yeah,
is probably my opinion.
Yeah,
is in the 90s or even early 2000s, the court was 9x9 instead of 8x8.
Yeah,
there were no antennas. You would only score if you were serving. Rally point, court gets smaller.
Yeah,
people are changing the game with the skills. Jump setting, hitting on two when traditionally you wouldn't do that. Net clips used to be a point error. Net clips over and now in play.
Yeah.
Like we have live coding apps too, and lots of the coaches are upskilled in it.
Yeah.
I've spent many hours recently doing my direct working and indirect teams that I interact with. That'll be handy to have on the bench, but then you're on the side view instead of the back view. You might miss a moment. So I would say like it was a trial period, so we're not even sure if it will stay. And then based off the trial period and the feedback, I might say, okay, coaches can have technology, or you need to change the position for the coaches to be in the back corner. Maybe they don't have to switch sides. Maybe you can talk between end changes, but not between points. And so it's still very young in that. So I guess it was more just the idea of it being there as a trial period.
Yeah.
Would probably be my assumed logic.
Yeah.
Before it accelerates too quickly. And, whether that remains or not we don't know yet. So I guess it's, what's in the trial period, especially for a world champs, we're doing this thing. How can it impact performance without impacting performance if we don't want to keep this thing or get rid of it? Because it will change the profession for sure.
Yeah.
It is really interesting. You mentioned like the equity impact that it could have on the sport as well, which is why I assume historically it happened, is because maybe the money wasn't there to fund a coach with teams. Tennis players as well. Like it probably is a direct parallel to tennis where there's no coach on the bench because tennis players typically travel by themselves to tournaments, whatever. Beach volleyballers, when you're in that trial stage, maybe historically you had to travel by yourself because you didn't have the support. So that maybe made it more equitable if the teams that have funding are like still restricted to the same restrictions that the lowest equity teams.
Yeah, a bit more equitable.
Have. Well, as a country, we're very lucky to have a supportive federation and stuff. Other countries do things independently. Not to go through them all, but it's not as simple as every country has a program. So for us, it's kind of like, well, we've been operating in a way where we work across teams. Does this mean that you go back to siloing with the team? Does it change our employment status for a coach like myself or the coach team here? We have multiple people that can work with teams. Maybe we don't have to go overseas. Or I'm first of all grateful to get to go overseas to work, but it can change from like go to 3 weeks and a coach comes and tags in versus having to be there sustained, or you're letting your team down if you can't, or something in your life pops up. So it does change like how people might view the profession. Like it is a great career and I love it. And I'm very grateful for it. But it does have like indirect impacts on the people that work in the sport. For us in Australia, it's like the rest of the world is far away. Recently went to Mexico and everyone was complaining how far I went, like how many flight hours they had. And it's like, well, that's pretty normal for us. Or we meet in China, or people coming to Australia and saying, oh, wow, this sucks. We're jet lagged for days. And you go like, that is us every tournament. So there's a demographic factor too, where it's we can't just like get on the road and go across the country and say, I'm tagging in for 3 days. It's a pretty significant commitment. So, we need more coaches. And I guess this is like also a support call. Like if anyone wants to get into beach volleyball coaching, I can help in any way. Or you see me at the national tours or anything like that, love to talk to you guys about volleyball. Indoor, beach, anything. Like just love this sport and people that view people as volleyball players rather than, this discipline or that. I can have that conversation with people if they want. But all I know is we're hosting one of the biggest events in the world. We have teams there. We have a very bright future in indoor and beach volleyball. but I can speak more to the beach volleyball thing, so excuse my bias. But we have a very, very bright future. We have the athletes to drive us forward, and we have the expertise with the coach team we have on the ground here and in Brisbane, and our management, who are, lots of them have coaching backgrounds. So we're very, very fortunate. And you may have seen some coaching stuff at the AVSL finals if you were there. So like we have people that are genuinely interested in driving the sport forward and representing everyone in our community. Like I'm very aware that the guys that I'm coaching represent you guys on the podcast and the listeners and the people that play indoor in Perth, or, you know, like we're all a part of volleyball in Australia, and we're very grateful to represent Volleyball Australia. So that's, you know, really, really exciting for us.
Yeah, so excited for this tournament. And it really is a pride of the country and the volleyball network is the relationships that you can have within the sport across state borders, across disciplines to improve the sport and the skills of the game for the Australian Volleyball Federation, for our future and our development. And this is a pretty big tournament, so I'm so excited for it to be on Australian sands, shipped in on trucks. But the crowds and the people that are driving over there, it's going to be so good though. I still want to see some good results. I want to see some upsets. I think the Australian teams actually have chances to do that. They're always within grasp, and it's seeing how if someone can get a podium, if someone can push,
that would be nice. Push
to a podium. It's a tough ask.
We're certainly driven to representing the values of our, like, you know, supporters. Like, we're going to work hard every point. There's going to be maximum effort, and we're going to take risks. We're going to do it, and hopefully everyone in our crowd can get around us, and the athletes on the court. Sorry if I look very busy and frantic running around in circles in the courts, but get around our athletes. They're really, really looking forward to representing the values of Australians on the court and taking the game on. If our upset happens, cool. The podium happens, cool. But that's the one thing I can promise is we're going to put our best stuff on the court.
And if there's no Australians on court, you can still support the sport of volleyball by just picking a favourite. Pick one of the Swedes, a Viking somewhere, you know, maybe Qatar, Sharif.
If I was going to throw in a wildcard team, I think Australians will love. On the men's side, it would be Cuba.
True.
Those guys are awesome. Awesome guys. Physical athletes, 6'9" defender. It's crazy. And on the female side, not sure if they're in our pools, but there's an Austrian pair, the Klingers. They go at it. They've been in Perth a little bit preparing, and they're really entertaining. So hopefully our volleyball supporters can get into it, because we won't see these athletes.
They're in a pool of sisters, because they're a sister partnership, correct? And they're playing against another sister partnership. That's the best way, if you're out there listening, to get a beach volleyball partner, is have a sibling.
There's the Verge de Prays for the female Swiss team. There's the Grimolds, who are cousins on the Chilean men's side. Capagrossos on the men's side. It's really cool sport. So if you got, you know, if you have kids that play the sport, right next beach volleyball, feel free. We'd love to have them on our sands, and hopefully they're inspired by what they see in the next couple of weeks.
For sure.
I think that brings us to the end of today.
I reckon that's about all we got.
A productive chit chat. A lot of volleyball going on. So I mean, I wish we should touch on beach volleyball every week, but there's so much going on. Volleyball is such a hard sport to track, because there's so much.
We need to grow the hosts of this to and everyone can talk about a different thing. Yeah.
I'm saying volleyball needs like press conferences. We need player interviews at every single thing. I'm sure Volleyball Australia has already been pretty good on top of the beach athlete interviews, because athletes, especially on beach, when you're more self-funded, you are a brand and you are your own person. They're all just playing golf pre-tournament, but it's okay to see on an Instagram story. It's good fun.
We've got to be good people on and off the court. Cognitively recharge. But, you know, these guys and females are based in Australia when they're not on tour. So they're quite accessible. You know, it's an awesome lifestyle they live, and they're really, really lucky and grateful. But just, you know, to be in Australia, train and be around their family, then go around the world and compete as hard as they can, get rewarded with prize money and, you know, the things that come with winning and losing and learning about yourself. It's pretty wicked.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Very grateful to have you with such deep insights. Talk to us, talk to the audience, get everyone informed before the biggest beach tournament of the year.
Definitely good luck to the 11 teams? No.
11.
11 teams,
9 and
Nine
and the reserve.
and
And
two
I'm
reserves.
definitely playing.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. Hopefully, everyone on their way to Adelaide really loves it here.
Yeah.
And they're going to have some good hosts. And if not, we'll see you on the sand soon.
Definitely. All right. We'll catch everyone in
See ya.